Bitcoin is close to becoming worthless.
Let's go. Now, what's the Bitcoin?
Bitcoin's like rat poison.
Yeah. Oh,
The greatest scam in history.
let's get it.
Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
Yeah.
Alright, you ungovernable misfits. I'm your host, Max. Everybody knows that Bitcoin is useless, worthless, and doomed to fail. But what if everyone's wrong? What if it's the system that is doomed to fail? Join me as I speak to some of the brightest people in the space and slither to the deepest, darkest depths of the Bitcoin rabbit hole.
Welcome back, everyone. Today's guest is Anon Tony, or Anontony. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it. Really interesting guy. We lurk in a lot of the same Telegram channels and have similar interests within privacy and security. He's really cool. He's got some very interesting perspectives, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. Before we dive in, I want to say thank you to CoinFloor UK for sponsoring the show. If anyone hasn't listened to my episode with Obi, that was last episode, go and have a listen. He is CoinFloor's CEO. He is a proper Bitcoiner, and I'm very, very happy to be on board with them. If you haven't used them before and you're looking to buy weekly, monthly, or daily, you can use the code in the show notes below, and you'll get a 30% discount off your fees. Next up is Crypto Cloaks. Crypto Cloaks are my new sponsors. And as you'll all know from Bitcoin Twitter, they make the coolest 3D printed stuff out there. They've got block mitts, they've got personalized node cases, and much, much more. Check them out at cryptocloaks.com. Enjoy the show.
Hello.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm doing well. No, I'm pleased to be chatting with you today. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. I've been all over the place, traveling, doing stuff, but I'm glad that we finally get to sit down and have a quick chat.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So where have you been? Anything that you can say without doxing yourself?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's kind of public. I went to DEF CON. That's the biggest
Mhm.
hacking conference in the world. I was kind of bummed because they enforced the back passport things, and if you didn't have that proof, then you couldn't get in, which is kind of nonsensical because allegedly it's the counterculture hacking
Yeah.
conference. It doesn't make any sense, but it happened.
Wow.
And the fun thing is that, I don't know, 2 or 3 months before the get-go, they were like, yeah, we're saying that we're going to enforce it just to make it look like we're legit and whatever, to avoid the massive spreader event, whatever that means. But we're not going to actually enforce it. And like 2 or 3 weeks before, everything changed. Like, no, we are going to enforce it. And I was like, no. But I still came through, and even though I couldn't properly enjoy the conference, it was fun because it kind of backfired because all the low people that did not get the bags were just hanging out in Vegas, and it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah.
The Monero community had been putting together a Monero village for 3 consecutive years. Now this year, the goons, the organizers of the con, said, nope, you cannot go through with Monero Village. You need to figure out a name. In the end, they resolved to go under Cryptocurrency Village in a hacking conference. I don't know. It was a little bit disorganized. It was a little bit like, I don't know, discouraging. But it is what it is. And I'm sorry that I keep mentioning Monero, or that I keep talking about Monero.
That's all
I
right.
guess your podcast can get canceled now.
I don't care. my views on Monero are like it's useful. It's a tool that's useful, and I don't give a fuck what people use. I don't give a fuck what people invest in. I don't give a fuck what people do. I just do my own thing that makes sense to me, and as long as no one pushes their beliefs or ideas on me, then I don't care. So it is a bit of a funny one because in this space, it's very easy for people to start attacking you, and you're called a shill and all the rest of it. I would use Monero if I needed to for privacy, and it's not something I've used before. It is something I've owned before, and it's not something I currently own. But when people start telling people what they can and can't do, it kind of goes against the whole movement in my eyes. This is about fuck you money, and this is about literally being able to say fuck you, I'll do what I want. So yeah, I'm open to whatever people want to use. Don't care.
Yeah, and they don't realize that if we go to the core ethos of Bitcoin, it's about free open source software. So you should be letting anybody to take their own decisions and do with their time and with their money as they see fit.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to invest everything into Ripple or something like that, or Stellar or whatever else, uh, that's their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
That's their expense. That's everything. Just let them be.
I also don't, really attack people who have been vaccinated, even though I'm not, and I don't attack people who invest in things I don't agree with. It really doesn't matter what other people do as long as they're not harming you. We should just really worry about ourselves, and it can get quite frustrating. There's times where, with Twitter and stuff, I just think. I just need to step back from this because it's so groupthinky at times. It is so just repetitive, and
Mm-hmm.
the thing that really matters to me now, and this wasn't always the case, but the thing that really matters to me now is just learning how to use tools that are going to allow me and my family to live as freely as we possibly can, and for people to
Mm-hmm.
interfere with us as little as possible, and just to be left the fuck alone. And whatever tools I need to use, that's what I care about. And I am interested in the price going up. I am interested in this as an investment, but there's only so many times that you can hear the same thing repeated, and people will come in and believe that what they're saying is new, and there's basically nothing new being said. You get someone else new from the legacy banking system, or someone else who's very wealthy who works it out, and they make some slightly different analogy about what it's like and compare it to something, and everyone gets all excited. But at the end of the day, once you understand this technology, you know that it's going to be very, very valuable financially, but it's going to be very, very valuable freedom wise, and that's what matters. So I'm sort of trying to push this podcast a little bit more towards learning the tools, and I'd like to do something around PGP because I find it really fucking horrible to use and awkward to use, but I know how good it is. I've ordered myself a laptop that I'm putting Linux on. I'm just still waiting for it, and trying to go away from Apple, and just doing the bits that I can to get more freedom. And if people listen and they find that useful and enjoy it, then that makes me happy. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, I mean, you got kind of controversial individuals like Elmo helping you out on that other side of the pond, and then you have Q&A, of course, that sweet accent. You got open noms.
Yeah.
So you got good players over there that can help you out for sure. And it's always, for me, it's always enjoyable just to see that you are kind of a pleb. No offense intended at
Yeah,
all,
no.
but you're just taking a stab at everything, and you hang out with the right people, so you're on the right track there. And for sure, the less you use Apple, with all these recent conundrum of they're going to be spying on your images or whatever for child pornography, it's just daunting because
Mm-hmm.
it at the end of the day, it just turns the facade of, yeah, Apple cares about your privacy, whatever, and it just brings it back to zero, to even negative. It drops to negative because it's a precedent that they're not going to get rid of so easily. Um, it's the same way Google scans every image on Google Drive and or on their services, uh, precisely to go after pedophiles and anything. But if it happens today for that, it means that can happen tomorrow for any other flag that they're going to pursue. So they're shooting themselves in their toes, and they're broadcasting it to everybody. Um, it also backfires because recently there has been a massive shortage of Google Pixel. That's kind of the I don't know, the other option, the alternative to Apple devices. Those are high end. They have good specs, and you can flash Calyx OS on them.
Mhm.
But now there is a massive shortage on getting those phones because everybody ran to the store and, hey, I want a Google Pixel now and I want to switch. Um, so it's good.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
for the other Macs, the non cool Macs, it's good for Mamushi. So he does business.
The
And
non-cool Macs. Yeah,
it-
they're good phones. I mean, I've still got the 3A, and I'm still running graphene.
nice. Oh,
But
mate.
yeah, but it's not an everyday phone. You know, it is literally
Right,
a
right.
dedicated samurai phone, and I have nothing else on it. So I have been thinking, because I've got a shitty old iPhone 7 or 8 or whatever it is. I paid like 50 quid for it, and I was just like, oh, that'll do. So that's my everyday phone. But I think I'll probably go to one of these 4s or 5s if I'm feeling really bougie.
Mm, mm.
And flash this Kali. Is it Kali X? It's called Kali
Yeah,
X.
Calyx,
Calyx.
Calyxos,
Yeah,
just Calyx OS,
yeah.
which comes from the Calyx Institute.
Hmm.
The Calyx Institute just provides a VPN. It's just one of those foundations, so to speak, that whose target is like, we're here to protect your rights in the digital realm, and they fight for privacy or freedom, and they've been around for a few years. It's pretty much like the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, or if you will, for, similar to the Free Software Foundation. It's just organizations that come together, maybe build an LLC or whatever, and they also put a face as a non-profit. So those are the good organizations that you should both keep an eye open on their articles or campaigns, and also donate or become an active member. You're not becoming like a member of a political party, nothing like that. You don't need to commit to anything, but even $1 helps to those campaigns, which are actually doing something productive to protect our freedom of speech, if you will,
Hmm.
and sovereignty. I think it's important because beyond just becoming rich, or beyond coin joining, or whatever else, we also need to be vocal and to put our money where our mouth is. I could parrot free open source software all day long on Twitter and be an abrasive troll non-stop, and troll this and that and say this, and spout as many insults as I can. But if I don't put my hand in my pocket and be like, yeah, here, Free Software Foundation, take, I don't know, $100, then what am I doing? I'm not doing anything. I'm just posturing, and I'm being a complete asshole on the internet. What do I get from that? Nothing.
Mm.
I may get a couple insults back and a couple blocks, and that's fun while it lasts. But then, what is the everlasting effect? What is the groundbreaking thing that I'm pursuing? There is nothing. You know what I mean? If you don't pursue an essence, if you don't if it doesn't click in your brain, you're just a mongrel spouting insults on the internet and being cool.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of that going on. And like you said, it's all well and good getting very, very wealthy. And I do think that a lot of people who are holding and continue to buy Bitcoin will become very, very wealthy. But it's not a lot of good if you can't actually live your life and enjoy it. Like if we get to a point where, like, I speak to a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, we know we're going to 1 million a coin or even more, and oh, we're gonna live this fantastic life, it's gonna be amazing. And it's like, well, not if they lock all the borders down unless you inject something into your body that you don't want. And how good is it if you can't speak freely and you can't travel freely and you can't really think freely? Then how enjoyable is that going to be if you just have to lock yourself away somewhere and hide? And that's really what the fight is about. And if you really think deeply about what Bitcoin's trying to do, it's not just trying to make a group of outcasts and weirdos very, very wealthy. It's trying to create freedom for people and trying to protect people's ability to transact and people's ability to store their value and people's ability to speak. And it does seem that we're sliding very much one way at the moment very quickly, and that seems to be into a sort of authoritarian nightmare. And I don't know whether enough focus is spent on that. I feel like there's too much cheering about the price and wealthy people coming in, and that is great, and it does help put it into more people's hands and raise awareness and everything else. But I sometimes worry that we lose that that sort of fighting ethos, that sort of we won't back down, we won't give in, and we won't shut the fuck up, because this is important. And like, I don't know, it seems worrying to me. I can very much see a world where Bitcoiners are put on trial, and that people will accept the idea that we are just as bad as terrorists and pedophiles and murderers and rapists because of the things that we stand for, and they seem logical to us, and that freedom is logical to us. But we've seen how quickly mass hysteria sets in across the world, and people very quickly change what is acceptable, as long as everyone else goes along with it. So I don't know. I mean, how do you see is the best way to fight that? Do you think it is just done on an individual basis, or is there something that you think could be done to kind of, I don't know, to help make it clear what we're trying to do and get other people on board for the right reasons?
I think that's a difficult question, but it's a very good question as well. I believe at the end of the day, most newcomers, especially into Bitcoin, they are getting in because they see the price going up and they just want to materialize on those gains as well. They're just jealous and they're greedy. They're like, yeah, I want the number go up as well, and it goes hand in hand. The number go up with mass adoption and with compliance, massive compliant people. It all goes into the same realm. At least that's how I see it, because they don't care whether the state or the government or the private companies that they got those coins from know that they actually own it, because their entire narrative goes to, if Bitcoin goes to 1 million tomorrow, or 2 million, 5 million, whatever, uh, governments are going to be rendered useless, and you no longer need to pay taxes because somehow magically you ran them over by the number go up, and that's the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're blind. They're just either malicious or they're just naive. Because the fact that Bitcoin goes to 1 million does not mean that the White House stops existing, or the Queen in the UK stops existing, everything is going to be the same. If anything, more number go up, it's more greediness and more jealousy from the governments and from the private companies that are going to try to profit either through your data. So they analyze your data and they use it because it's surveillance capitalism, and they offer you targeted advertisements, or outright they go after you to confiscate those coins from you because they know everything about you. That's the entire problem about KYC. It does not matter whether the chain is public or private, like Monero. If you KYC when you're acquiring those coins, you're pretty much like shooting yourself and saying, "Yeah, I'm here. Here's my address. Come and find me. Please confiscate everything from me." Because with a flip of a pen, any politician can render Bitcoin or all cryptocurrencies um, illegal, and they can prosecute you. And it can happen from night to morning. You wake up and there is a couple cops just knocking on your door asking for your coins, and that your plausible deniability is moot when you KYC, because it's akin to, let's say, this is hypothetical scenario. I walk into a store, I get a 9 millimeter pistol, um, and I purchase it with my ID. I sign a couple forms, I walk out door, everything is great. Within a week, somebody shot, and they do the investigation, and it's the same caliber that I purchased that day. Do you think that when the cops knock on my door and I say, "No, I lost my pistol," or "I got it stolen 3 days after I purchased it," do you think they're going to buy that? No, they're not. It's the same way. You're going to tell them, "No, I lost them in a boating accident." It doesn't work out
No,
like
no.
that.
No, they're not gonna. No, they're not going to roll over. They're just gonna say, "Okay, we don't believe you. We're gonna seize your assets. We're
Mhm.
gonna take your house. We're gonna freeze your bank accounts. We're gonna take any other assets, your vehicles, and if we're feeling cute, we're gonna throw you in jail as well, and you're not fucking coming out." And so
Yeah.
that is a real possibility, especially if we look on the trajectory that things are going at the moment, the way that freedoms are being taken. That's completely reasonable to assume that would happen. That
Yeah.
said, I still feel there is some sort of middle ground where I think it's better for the average person to buy a little bit of Bitcoin, even if it has to be on a KYC'd exchange, than have none. And the reason I think that is because a small percentage of those people will actually go further down the rabbit hole. They will actually start to understand the
Yeah.
ethos. They will start. Someone like me, for example, if I'd have not bought any Bitcoin, I wouldn't be on the journey that I'm on now. I just wouldn't. And I also think that even if those people don't decide to use tools to help themselves be a little bit more free, and they do just decide to hold that asset, then at least they are insulating themselves a little bit from the craziness that's going on in the world financially, and at least they will hold some value, hopefully. If they don't hold their keys, they might not, but if they at least take that one step. So there's kind of levels to it, and I'm also, I might be on the extreme end with myself of trying to be as private as I can, and doing things in the best way that I can within my own abilities. But I also don't attack people who aren't doing that, because I think the more people who own Bitcoin, the better, for the reason that if you have more people on your side, like for example, if it's just you and I and Q&A and Elmo and a few other sort of people who are like this, and we all decide that, right, okay, we're going to buy no KYC, we're going to use all the tools possible, and we're like 0.0001% of the world, and then no one else really buys Bitcoin, no one else really holds it. Then we're in a very small minority, and we're much more likely to have people attack us, to have laws written that are going to be bad for us. Whereas if it's us doing what we're doing and then 25% of the world holds some Bitcoin, either through some shitty fucking thing like Robinhood, or they have it on an exchange, or whatever it is they're doing. If 25% of the world were, for example, to actually have some exposure to Bitcoin, and then legislators try and make it illegal or 6102 it or try and arrest anyone who has it, it's going to be much less likely because those people will stand up for themselves. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about me. They're very tribal, and they're just going to see us as like, oh, they're just those lucky people who got wealthy and they're a bunch of criminals. So fuck them. Let the government take their Bitcoin. So I kind of just think the more people we have on our side, the better. But I know that's not something that's shared by many people, and
Right.
I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? Do you literally just, are you on the side where you think, fuck them?
No, no, no. I wouldn't say fuck you precisely because you're the cool Max. You're not the other non-cool Max. I wouldn't say fuck you. No. And again, I truly appreciate that you bring on a lot of samurai people. To be completely honest with you, the only times that I tune in your pod is when you have Ergo or Diverter or Max or Pavel or whoever else. I It's hard. Your initial question was whether we could do anything to kind of change the direction. I kind of try to answer. I personally think the stronger and the louder we make the advice, we make the shouts regarding getting your coins KYC free, the better. Uh, I of course can see your point of view when you say that maybe it doesn't matter as much if the first purchase, the first time that they buy, or the first few times that they buy Bitcoin, they do so with a KYC on ramp. I can understand that, and to pinpoint your argument, I think that holds true because even Q&A, which is a monster and makes entire guides and knows everything about samurai, and I don't know, it's a bible of knowledge. He has admitted publicly that he once upon a time bought Bitcoin on Coinbase. Uh, so everybody had those phases. That's perfectly fine. The what I would condone, what I would, I don't know, don't talk, berate, is if you keep on doing that to this day, and you've spent a couple years in the space, and you're still holding everything on Coinbase. That's something that is not acceptable for me.
Yeah.
I think we can look at KYC like your gateway. You're taking your baby step, and you get acquainted with Bitcoin. You withdraw it. Once it's in your wallet, you start spending it to get some goods or bartering with your community, doing a circular economy type of thing. But once it clicks in your brain and you dive in, you should change your on ramps, and you should change your dynamics as to how do you keep it. Whether you need samurai, you need to go to Whirlpool, you need to do to the post mix spending tools, you need to do this and that. Just join the community. Once you join the community, there is some brotherhood, and then you get friends, and they troll you, you troll them back. You keep doing transactions, you send memes, you send stickers, gifts, so it becomes kind of a family. And I think once you reach that plateau, that that's even better, not only for you but for the community, because then you're building your own circular economy, you're getting acquainted with the actual developers, you get some insights as to where the projects are heading to, you get a sneak peeks of what is coming, you get to do beta testing, you get to do alpha testing, you hang out with your friend that is influencer in the space. And I'm totally not talking about myself. I do these, and for me, it's been great that I get to experience this firsthand. And you can also get to work for somebody, and that's another gateway, another way in, that you earn the coins instead of buying them. So it becomes like your unit of account, which has been happening to me as well for the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
You do a couple side gigs for some important people that got in early. It's none of your business how many coins they own, but you do something valuable for them. They pay you in Bitcoin or Monero, and you live off of that, because then you can
Mm-hmm.
grab those coins and go to peer-to-peer exchanges, exchange it for fiat, and go and pay your rent, or go and get some food, or whatever else that you need, or pay for utilities. And once you actually are earning it and are changing it to cover your expenses, it, it makes sense for you, and it's way more comfortable. You're not paying any, I don't know, any amount of money to the bank. It's not getting taxed directly, because who is going to tax a transaction that anybody in the world sends to me because I translated an article? Nobody, because it's between me and that person. There is no bank, there is no institution, there is no wire fee, there is nothing. It settles within a few minutes, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's great. That's also kind of part of my, I don't know, my input to your scenario, or to your question. That rather than just buy and sell dynamics, why not bolster, or push the need for people to pursue jobs in the space, um, be marketing or whatever their expertise is, because they're actually earning it. Another thing is just selling your stuff. There is a saying, I don't know, there is always something that you can sell to, just to stack more sats. And I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't agree more. There is many things in our houses that we don't use, and that we could perfectly sell on secondhand markets and get more Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
and and there is also a few on ramps that are KYC free: Bisq, Azteco, um, Hodl Hodl. Uh, there is alternative.
Mm-hmm.
That's the entire point of it. Um,
There are options, and
right.
that's what I've done now. I don't use the KYC services anymore. I'll use Bisq, or I'll buy off peers, or I'll find ways. But I'd like to start earning it. That would be really cool. I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
I've sold one painting for Bitcoin, and that was the happiest moment I think for years. I was so excited to be selling something that I've created, and someone enjoy it, and they pay me in Bitcoin. It's just felt like this is perfect. So that was really nice. I'd like to do more of that, but I think it just takes time for people to get their head into that. It is a journey, and in that, literally that unit of account thing, that took me nearly 2 years to truly, like, you hear, oh, one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. You hear that and you're like, yeah, whatever. And then it finally clicks, and now I'm like, I don't look at my bank balance and go, I've got X amount of fiat, and that my Bitcoin would be this much fiat. I genuinely now think, well, I've got this amount of Bitcoin. That's what matters. That's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm always trying to make that number grow. And I just think that's it's time, it's confidence. You live through a bear market, you feel the pain, then you see the ups and downs, you learn more, you understand more, you see that you're not the only one who's a crazy, and you speak to enough people, and you're like, well, these people aren't idiots. So unless we're all completely fucking wrong, this is something that's going to stay around. And then I think that mental switch happens. So um, it is a time thing, and I've seen it with people who listen to this podcast and sort of like followed along on my journey, and they're kind of doing things at a similar sort of rate. They're reaching out and saying, oh, I've also set up a Pixel A, and oh, I've done this, and I've stopped using my KYC exchange and I'm selling my shit in my house, or I'm selling my house, whatever it is. And it's cool to have people along on that journey. And it's really cool as well, like you said about having these communities and these people and making friends. A lot of these Telegram groups, we're in a few of them together.
Yeah.
Those sort of things are really cool. Was it
Yeah.
you who set up the Bitcoin sovereignty one, or whose one's that?
No, that's run by somebody else, but I'm an admin with Max and somebody else. It's kind of new. It's relatively new.
It's really good.
It, yeah, yeah, but most samurai heads are in there. You can make the connection, whatever. I've been cheap posting with Samurai the people from Samurai for about a year,
Yeah.
and I couldn't be feeling better with them. It's been a ride, um, and it all started with because not they directly Samurai, but uh, Samurai Wallet community people decided to create an off-topic group chat, and it just went downhill from there. Downhill as in, I don't know, the group chat has been remade like 3 or 4 times. It has undergone through different names. But these Bitcoin and sovereignty other group chat, it's from somebody else. It's not related to the off-topic shenanigans. Uh, but it's been fun because you actually get to discuss privacy stuff with them, but you get also any kind of day-to-day vanilla life topics being discussed out in plain text. It's just some kind of brotherhood, if you will. But what there is one thing that pisses me off in the ecosystem, and I know that you say that you also want the number to go up, the price to go up, but I think personally, speaking for myself, I would rather for the price just to get crushed, to be honest with you, because the dynamic works like this: the more the price goes up, the less likely the holders are to spend. So it kind of prevents, hinders the circular economy, because why am I going to spend it today if in, I don't know, 1 month it's going to be worth 60K? But that's not the point. That kind of pisses me off big time, because we need to look at Bitcoin and Monero and any other cryptocurrency that people use just as a tool. If today I need to get, I don't know, painkillers, to put an example, uh, I want them today. I need them today. I go and spend it right now without thinking. I don't know. In 1 decade, it's going to be worth 1 million, and I spend, I don't know, 100K sats just on getting a couple painkillers. I was so dumb. Now it's worth 100K dollars, and I spent that much money. If the guy who spent 10,000 bitcoins getting a few pixels from Domino's hadn't posted that on Bitcoin Talk Forum, maybe we wouldn't be this far. Uh, People don't understand that in order for us to actually bolster the adoption, in order for us to push Bitcoin or to push Monero forward, we need to spend it. We need to use it. We need to not be afraid of putting it and backing in projects that we actually find valuable. Like if you like Samurai Wallet, go and donate to Samurai Wallet or hang out with Samurai Wallet. Or if you like Seed Signer, go and purchase their product and hang out with Dev and be like, yeah, nice to meet you. I like your project. Reach out, do something that is going to actually put the words that you're spouting out on the internet every day, that they're going to back something, a project, an idea, anything. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
we get stuck so much in the number go up, who is going to drive the price up? If everybody keeps holding, okay, there is a scarcity and there is a 21 million cap, whatever. But then what are we? 21 million idiots who never spend, and they just keep bragging to each other, oh yeah, I got this amount of Bitcoin, blah blah blah. It sounds ridiculous. It's like, yeah, well, I could create, I don't know, baseball cards, and there's cars too, and we can just become douchebags too as well. So yeah, we're so exclusive. What is the essence of that? There is no science. There is no. I'm sorry, it's just a little rant. It just pisses me off.
No, I sort of get what you mean. I think it would also probably flush out a lot of the people who are here for the wrong reasons if it crashed like hard. A lot of people who say they're holding forever and fronting on the internet would not, because it is about just the money. It's not about more than that for a lot of people.
Right.
I guess my view on it is, I mean, I do spend Bitcoin, but I only spend it with other Bitcoiners. So, if someone's 3D printing me something and they're a Bitcoiner, I'll pay them in Bitcoin. If I'm sending some money to Bitcoin Q&A because I've just had a drink with them and I owe him some money, I'll pay him in Bitcoin. I don't use it obviously in the rest of my life because no one knows what the fuck it is or wants it, or no one really wants to
Right.
interact with it. But I will always try and replace it. So I'm somewhere in the middle where I'm like, I'm happy to spend my Bitcoin. I mean, I'm a little bit more hesitant to do things on chain when when the fees are really heavy. If I'm sending £50 worth of Bitcoin and it's going to cost me 15 or 20 to send it, I'm probably just going to do it on Lightning, or
Right.
use something like that, because I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that. But at the moment, with it being, the transactions are so fucking cheap to put through, I have no problem with it. But I will go and replace it. And so I'm in that middle ground where I want the number to go up because, well, firstly, I don't earn any money anymore. I just literally do my art, do my podcast, earn fuck all, quit all the rest of my work so that I can do this. So it would be handy so that I can keep living. Just selfishly. And secondly, I do think that as the number goes up, we do get more secure. The hash power will probably go up. We'll have a better infrastructure. There'll be more investments. There'll be more people drawn in. You'll get more developers who will be interested. Just in terms of, like, if you look at prices, literally that is the marketing department, and it's really fucking good because people's
Yeah.
eyes go straight onto it. So I don't know. I mean, either way, I'm sticking around. If we drop down, that's fine. If we go to the moon, that's fine. And I can see it from both. I can see it from both sides. So I don't know. Maybe it would be interesting. I mean, maybe it would be interesting if we just see a complete, like, serious crash, like 90%, 95%, something like that. It would be very interesting to look around and see who's still here.
And I am certain that I'm not alone on this sentiment. I hang out with a lot of old school OGs, and they always say, like, back in 2012 or back in 2011, what we were in for were the freedom features, the liberation, the fuck the state, whatever. So it's kind of gone in a downhill from 2011 through 2021. It has gone from, we're using Bitcoin to uh, have a smart workaround for the governments and the legislation to, oh, call your senator today just to whine about this stupid infrastructure bill that has been proposed. I'm like, fuck the fucking senator, fuck the fucking state, fuck anybody that tries to lobby in DC for this law, for this bill not to get passed. What is the point of lobbying or Coin Center or whoever else? Fuck them. Both fuck the state and fuck anybody that tries to, I don't know, to bend the knee to the state and be like, no, that's not possible. We don't need to do any lobbying. We don't need to go to the Congress, or we don't need to get crypto-friendly politicians that are going to talk greatly about us or the project. The project was precisely created to bring us sovereignty, to bring us autonomy to ourselves. We don't need anything else but the consensus. We don't need anything else but the node, and we don't need anything else but our wallets. That's the end of it. There is no state in it. There is no law. That, ironically, but not so much, I will be delighted if tomorrow the US or the UK or the European Union say Bitcoin is banned.
Mm.
Anybody owning it just goes to jail, because that cuts to the chase. Instead, they've been clamping on Bitcoin by implanting their KYC regulations, and not only that, but uh, most of these on-ramps own a sizable amount of Bitcoin of the total supply. So they effectively not only manage to um, kind of implant their stuff through the KYC regulations, but they also seized a sizable, a good chunk of the total supply. So they actually control a good amount of coins as well now. So why are we trying so hard for them to accept us? There is no point. We're just being cucks. It's completely nonsensical. But it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
I go along with that.
it,
I spoke to Obi the other day actually, and he said the same thing. He said literally, let them fucking pass all these rules. Let them pass this infrastructure bill. Let them ban mining. We'll find a way. You know, they're battling something that was designed to subvert and get around their stupid laws. And I'm 100% with you there. Like, yeah, don't fucking speak to a senator. Don't try and think that any politician's going to help you. Don't try and go along with this old system, because it's not here to help you. Like, it's so obviously not here to help us. And yeah, I would like the same. I mean, I'm not sure I'd like us to be illegal tomorrow, because my privacy hasn't been perfect from the beginning, and they'll come and put me away, and I'll never get out again. but yeah, I think that comes, like, you know, there's a few things. One is, I think that it would be very foolish to think that they don't have a massive stack of Bitcoin and everything else, because they're not that stupid. You know, people are, oh, governments are really stupid. Well, yeah, some people in governments are stupid. Some people in governments are really fucking smart as well. Just because they're not good doesn't mean they're not smart. You can be very, very smart and very fucking nasty. So I'm sure that they have a lot. And I'm sure they've done it in some smart ways. They've probably been mining and all sorts as well. And they just keep that quiet. But I think that they are going to eventually clamp down when it becomes blatantly obvious that the gig is up for their fiat system. And I don't know how long that goes. It could be a very long time. But we are the one thing, as far as I can see it, that really stands in the way of them continuing this Ponzi scheme and continuing to enslave mankind. And that's what they want. And so we are the enemy, and we can play as nice and smile at our enemy and think that they're not going to attack us, and think it gives us a few minutes or moments before they do. But at the end of the day, they are going to try and kill us. And so I think that's why I'm focusing very much on these tools, is that I know it's coming. I know I'm really unprepared. I know most people are really unprepared. And, it's a case of just arming yourself ready for that attack, so that, you know, they might come for you. They might get some of it if you've been slack, but at least hopefully you've got something as a backup, or your family do if you get imprisoned, or you've sorted out a second passport maybe, so you can get out of a country that's going to imprison you, or not allow you out, and that you have some options, because it seems like optionality is really going to be the thing, and having sort of backups on backups on backups, and redundancy, and not having all your eggs in one basket, and just thinking a few moves ahead, because yeah, they're coming. They're coming, and anyone who can't see that is crazy.
it seems like we're going to end up just running away from jurisdiction to jurisdiction until what? We run out of jurisdictions that we can go to, and then we build our own space rocket and we migrate to Mars, I guess, with our coins. It just this dystopian world is just exhausting. It's I don't know. I don't know what's the end of it. The only thing that I am clear on is, as you say, that we're their enemies. They're clear enemies. They're declared enemies. And the best thing that we can do is just arm ourselves with these free, libre, open source software tools. And the more we know about them, and the more we know about their use cases, the better. Uh, but again, if we just get stuck with holding and accumulating, there is no point. Because then, if tomorrow, I don't know, you lose your wallet or you lose something, but if you have practice, you have known that you need your mnemonic, or you have known where maybe you could have spread your backups in multiple locations, so you would have something to fall back on. But since you never tried it, since you never used it, since you never practiced it, then you don't have that hands-on experience. You haven't faced any, I don't know, difficulties or any casualties, so you're not prepared mentally and physically to counteract against whatever you're up for. You know what I mean? If you don't actually spend it, or maybe let's say you do your first TX0, you're going to Whirlpool, you go a couple free riding mixings, whatever, and then you're ready to spend. Um, if you don't actually use the post mixing tools, and you don't do the Stonewall, you can't go to oxt.mee and analyze whatever you did, so you can actually see for yourself whether you're actually hiding your traces or you're just larping and you're just doing, yeah, I did it. You didn't actually. So you need the hands on. If you don't do it, it's for me it's not useful. You're not delivering to yourself, not to me or to you or to anybody in the space, to yourself. You're not giving yourself the fruits of your labor. Stacking just for holding, it doesn't make sense for me anymore. And I completely utterly agree with you. Whenever I spend, the very first thing that comes to mind is, how am I going to replace this? uh, I do spend and I replace, spend and replace. It's a very good dynamic.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite tools for this? Obviously, I know you're a massive fan of Samurai, and you're using
Yeah.
using the tools there. Um, what else are you thinking about? Like, if you're stacking, you've mentioned Bisq and Hodl Hodl, or to earn it. Like, what do you see if someone's listening to this and they're like, oh, maybe I should get my arse in gear. Maybe I am just LARPing. What is the flow for you that makes most sense and that is going to be accessible?
Sure. I don't know if you've heard of these Azteco vouchers.
I'm going to go and buy one
They're
tomorrow.
awesome. Yeah, a Poundland, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is it going to be your first one, or?
Yeah, I haven't had time to go yet. But I was actually speaking to Brother
Nice.
Rabbit about them yesterday.
Oh, I love. Before you continue, I love Brother Rabbit. And now
he's
continue, please.
yeah, he's been really fucking helpful. He's been helping with a few bits recently, and such a lovely guy. But yeah, he
Yeah,
was he
yeah.
was chatting to me about it, and saying he'd managed to get a couple, and a few other people that I've spoken to have done them. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
basically the flow is you go in, you make sure you're COVID safe, you're masked up, and you can buy a voucher. It's £25 value is the per voucher,
Right.
but I think you can buy multiple.
Hmm.
And it's all done on Lightning. And then
Right.
you would just withdraw. I mean, you could always use something like Wallet of Satoshi or something, because that's effectively a custodial mixer, and then just
Yeah.
swap that out into Bitcoin. So yeah, I will be trying it. It is 10% on top, but it's
Yeah.
cash, so
That's a hefty premium, but you're paying in cash, and thanks to the COVID hysteria, you can also go masked up. So it's useful, and I think my main tool that I've been using for the past few weeks to have to answer your question is been Azteca vouchers, because I recently found a local vendor. So what we do is, like, I don't know, we go hang out in a bar, or we go hang out in their place, or whatever else. We get a couple beers, we have chat, and then I pull up my cash. He pulls up the POS. However much we're doing, he takes the cash, I take my voucher, and that's the end of it. And then I can pocket the voucher, and I can come home and be like, I just put in my Bitcoin address, I put in the string of numbers of the voucher, I hit submit, and within 10 or 15 minutes, the UTXO comes through, everything is clear. So it's pretty straightforward, because when you compare Azteca vouchers with BISC, you're going to teach a pleb, like, yeah, you just pull up your BISC, and then it starts saying the message of Tor network, whatever, and it gets convoluted. Not only that, but if you actually want to purchase or whatever, you need to actually own Bitcoin beforehand, because there is the deposit, the escrow, whatever, to allow for you to do transactions on BISC. Whereas if you're rolling with Azteca vouchers, you just send the money to the vendor, be digitally through a bank wire or whatever is more convenient for you and vendor, and they send you the code. And if you're lucky, like me, then you go in person, you exchange the cash, and that's the end of it. And depending on the vendor, because it's upon the vendor, not Azteco itself, they choose what percentage of premium of slippage they're going to deduct from the purchase that you're making. So you're saying that Poundland is 10%. Somebody is very greedy, because the standard is 5%. And if you're even extra lucky, you may find vendors that are even below 5%, which is great. I assume that what is going down with Poundland is that, since they're a chain, I assume, maybe because it's enterprise and they don't care about Bitcoin or whatever, it's not an individual selling the vouchers, if you know what I mean. Mostly the vendors that I found, they're not stores or anything like that. They're actual individuals who decided to apply to become a vendor, and that I can go to. And it's more like, I don't know, I'm hitting up Max from Buy by Bit just to purchase a voucher. They're just dudes hanging around and selling vouchers, and that's the end of it. It's nothing like Poundland or Blockbuster. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Maybe
So
I
so
maybe I need to find a vendor then, rather than going to Poundland.
right. But it doesn't hurt, because if it's going to be your first experience, at least you get how easy and convenient it is. I think my favorite non KYC way to acquire Bitcoin right now is a stack all day.
Mm-hmm.
And you can even ask around in the Samurai or running dojo people. They know that I just went baller. I've been chilling it non-stop, because for me it's very easy. Again, you just get a string of numbers, and you put in your Bitcoin address, and that's the end of no questions, no accounts, no email address, no names, nothing.
So here's a question for you then.
Sure,
If you
sure.
buy Azteca, well, I'll put it another way. If I was doing this, I'm going to tell you how I would do it, and you tell me if I'm an idiot. I would go
Sure.
and buy it in cash with a mask, and
Mhm.
I then would put it into cold storage, and I would not use use it in Samurai or any sort of postmix tools or any of that sort of stuff. I would literally just put it straight into cold storage. Is there any reason that that is done?
I would say there is no. I wouldn't judge you. No,
Mm.
no. I wouldn't say that that is flawed or wrong. I personally, whenever I use Samurai, is prior to spending. So if you're just holding, I don't see why that is wrong. What the implications that you may be looking at are stem from another point of view or another scheme, so to speak. Because if that cold storage, if that hardware wallet that you're using or whatever wallet you're using already has UTXOs, you must to make sure that the UTXOs that are inside that wallet are not KYC. Uh, I, I- because if they're KYC, then you're effectively mixing non KYC UTXO with KYC
Sure,
UTXO.
yeah. So
Yeah,
if you're using something like Spectre or Sparrow linked to like a cold card, and then you are using proper UTXO management and labeling, and you send
correct,
into
correct.
a fresh address and it's labeled, in
Mm-hmm.
that instance, it would make sense to just do that straight away. And
Right,
what that
right.
means then is, if you're, as an example, if you're going on Bisq, I'd say my average price on top of spot is probably 4%. It's about what I spend on average on Bisq. And so if I do the 4% and then I put that through Samurai, it's not cheap. I don't know what it is as a percentage generally, but it is probably a
Mm.
couple of percent, especially with the smaller amounts. So actually, Azteco makes a lot of sense, and
Yeah,
it's less faff, it's less hassle, and
correct.
it's more private because Bisq you still are sharing your information with somebody else, and they could be
Yeah,
anybody. And so then
yeah.
you do want to be putting that through Whirlpool because you do want to break those links.
Precisely. Yeah, yeah. And here comes a little bit of a Monero plug again, but
Yeah, go on.
there has been countless casualties. I call them casualties. In which buyers on Bees have ended up with tainted, and by tainted I mean, I don't know, coins straight from darknet markets or sanctioned UTXOs, just nefarious coins, so to speak.
Hmm.
Even though, of course, we may agree that there is no taint, there is no flag coins as far as the blockchain is concerned. But as long as you go on and, I don't know, spend it in a regulated exchange, you're going to get your funds frozen or your money sent back to you, and your business is going to be canceled on that on ramp.
Hmm.
So you need to be very cautious when you're acquiring those UTXOs KYC free, because you never know where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Um, so again, every time that I want to spend Bitcoin, I just pay a visit to Samurai Wallet and kind of launder the money, so to speak, to no end. So whenever I actually hit the send to the actual person that I want to pay to, I can have some ease of mind that the traces are obfuscated enough for them not to give me shit as to where those funds come from.
Hmm.
And if you want, if I want to sound like a proper Monero reply guy, I could just say, just use Monero, because the beauty of Monero is everything is anonymous, so I don't need to worry about the past of those coins. The same Monero that comes from the darknet market that somebody used to purchase, I don't know, heroin or meth or whatever 2 days ago, will look exactly the same Monero that I'm getting off of Kraken or Bitfinex or Binance. It's the same.
Hmm.
There is no flagging possible. There is no nothing that they can trace back. So it's pretty useful for those if you look at it from that lens. But of
It's
course, then you hit the liquidity issue. Monero doesn't have a big market like Bitcoin does. Doesn't have the same number of on ramps by any metrics. It's just daunting not to see the same level of attention. But
mhm.
again, it just gets into shit coining and the purity test and blah blah. It's just the same bullshit.
What about because I don't care about the purity test. I just want to know what works. What about for example, if you have some Bitcoin and then you
Mhm.
wanted to do an atomic, because this was talked about in Samurai, I think for like for what is it called, the like dust, not dust, they call it something else, in where it's like
The doxic
the doxic
change,
change. Yeah, the doxic change. And someone was saying, oh, well, what about if you then atomic swap that into Monero and then peg back out again?
yeah.
Presumably that's possible with any amount, as long as there's liquidity. And would that mean that, just as a like really basic example, you have a million sats, and then you convert those to Monero, and then you convert them straight back from Monero to Bitcoin to a separate wallet again? Would that not then effectively break those links? And if it does effectively
Yeah.
break those links, what is the cost to do that, and what services do that?
I think the biggest cost or concern, if you will, is actually finding the liquidity on both ends, because um I mean, from the Bitcoin end, uh, going into Monero is pretty useful for transactional purposes, because they're effectively just nuking their entire past by going into a completely invincible shape. But from the Monero end, it's not so appealing, because they will never know whether they're getting dirty coins or clean coins. uh, and they are very big into, no, we're fungible and we're pretty anonymous, whatever, we're not going to dump our fungible coins for your public blockchain shitcoin, which is something that I understand. So I think the main challenge with atomic swaps as it stands right now is finding people that are actually willing to swap their coins from either direction. I think we need to hold off onto it until Samurai wallet and Monero wallets integrate the function, the feature, and then see for ourselves if it actually brings enough value, if enough volume, enough traction for it to pick up steam. It is pretty useful. I wouldn't say otherwise. Yeah, I'm very excited and looking forward to it. I just have my reservations as to whether it's going to be long lasting, so to speak. I hope it is. Bitcoin end again. It cracked. It made sense in your mind. I'm glad. Monero end, not so sure, but I believe there is going to be a good dynamic, at least for the first couple months, because there is always the excitement of, oh, this is a new tool. Let's just give it a shot.
Yeah.
So maybe that makes it last for a couple months, and it's going to be fun for everybody.
Okay.
Let's hope for the best. But yes, the tool on DM read, you can break your traces by going into Monero that way. What I'd be cautious with is when you're going back to Bitcoin, you end up with the same hot potato problem. You know what I mean? Because then you don't know again what kind of Bitcoin you're getting. But if you nuke all this jargon and if you become a Samurai Wallet maxi, then you don't care, because whatever coin you get, you just go through Whirlpool and you clean it and you're good to go.
Yeah. I think that's what's so nice with Whirlpool is you can feel confident, and then you have got the tools to check afterwards to see, how well you've actually done things. I think the issue with using things like that, and the appeal to me for something like an atomic swap, and you literally peg in and peg straight back out again, is the
Mm-hmm.
time and the stress. And I love all the
Mm-hmm.
samurai guys. I love what they're doing, but fuck me, do I break? I break it all the time. That's why I was on the phone to Brother Rabbit for like 3 hours over the last month, and I still can't get the fucking thing working. And I've built it and rebuilt it 10 times, and every time, it's stressful. I've had
Yeah.
funds that I can't find now, no matter how many times I rescan the X and Z pubs and whatever else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know that's for me, someone who I really care about my privacy. I'm really trying to do the right thing. You know, I'm not the most technical person, but I'm not a complete fucking retard, and I can't seem to get it consistently working. So for me to try and say to most people who are coming in, oh yeah, just build a Ronin dojo and then link it to your Samurai wallet and then do these steps. Like, realistically, as great a product as it is, it's just not happening. And so
Right.
the appeal of something where it's like, you peg in, you peg out, and it's done, and you send that back to your wallet. That really is nice, and that's why a lot of people sort of started using Lightning. And I know people will pick it apart and say, well, it's not perfect, and you shouldn't be using
Right.
custodial and stuff. But the idea of sending sats via Lightning into a custodial wallet, which then you send out, you peg out onto on chain. It is like a sort of custodial mixer, effectively, and I can do that. I can sit down with someone, and in 2-3 minutes, I can do it, and it works, and it's done, and it might not be perfect, but it's better. And maybe this pegging in and pegging out an atomic swap sits somewhere in the middle of those two options.
Yeah. And there is not much that I can say on this regard. I'm just excited, and I don't know if but Samurai Wallet and Monerujo, these are the two main or preferred mobile wallets, at least for myself. They actually perform a couple mainnet and on-chain atomic swaps between Bitcoin and Monero already, like 2 or 3 months ago or 1 month ago, whatever. TDEV and Monero people actually perform the atomic swaps, so it's actually doable, and it's already out there. I know that a member of the Monero community is trying to launch, because you actually need to. I don't know the nitty gritty details of it, but you needed to actually kind of put together kind of a bank, so to speak, so the coordination can take place. It's kind of a liquidity provider, but not a liquidity provider exactly. You need to provide a kind of service that you establish, like a hosting service. So whenever the parties that are interested in swapping, like, I am selling some Monero and I'm willing to take your Bitcoin at this rate. I put up the offer. You come on and you say, yeah, I'll take it. So we get connected, and it happens. But there has to be this liquidity provider kind of bank to be up there, up and running 24/7, ideally. So you can get coupled and you can get linked to these other parties that are willing to do the atomic swap. He's actually trying to put together that service, and I'm thankful for that. For the Samurai end, for Bitcoin end, as far as it goes, initially it's going to be CLI only, so it's not going to be graphical interface, so it's not going to be as easy and beautiful as we wish for it to be. But initially, most of Samurai tools were CLI. That's the way they were first introduced. You may expect some graphical, some buttons, some more good eye candy for the newcomers in the future. We'll see how it pans out. The ETA, the estimated time of arrival for Samurai, is beginning of 2022. So we're already kind of talking ahead of time, futuristic things. But I can tell you something right now. Both communities seem excited about it, and we just need to keep pushing and getting the word out. So whenever it lands, we have enough liquidity to just have fun and send funds back and forth. And as you say, peg in, peg out, peg in, peg out. It's fun. I'm all for it. And there a big shout out with to Bitcoin enemies. It's kind of a meme self-hosting community. It's very underrated. I don't know if you've heard, but they put together this Greta's Fury, and in a nutshell, it just send one side the stowaway transactions between each other, and signed with your UTXO message, so you get an entry. So you could get entries in that contest, and whoever did most transactions gets the grand prize. And the grand prize was like You get a running dojo, you get a pixel from Mamushi, you get the Privacy is a Human Fi hoodie, you get the foundation password, a bunch of prizes that are related to the ecosystem, MULVA vouchers for the VPN. Not to toad my own horn, but I'm actually doing it. I actually won that event from Bitcoin Enemies.
Oh,
And I'm
really?
very thankful for. Yeah, I actually won it. So I won all that stuff. I got my running dojo, the foundation password, VPN, hoodies, everything, and it was pretty fun. To I kid you not, I hadn't signed transactions with my UTXO directly from Samurai. I hadn't done the stowaways before. I had done some other things like going into Whirlpool, but I hadn't done the actual stowaway. So it was pretty interactive. It was very trolling in the chats, but we were having fun with one another.
Hmm.
And that's kind of my bullet point of my takeaway here. If you build a community, it becomes something like it's engaging, it's inviting newcomers to do some random stuff and to have fun while learning how Bitcoin works, or
Hmm.
Samurai in this case. And I think that's pretty important. Um, it was fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did 59 entries, unique entries. So I sent effectively once the stowaway 59 times over, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, which is nice.
That's very cool. And do you like the foundation passport?
Yeah, I love it. I love those guys because they are approaching the market being like, we not only want to be free libre open source software as for the firmware, but we also want to open the hardware. So they're kind of bringing uh, both exclusively free open source software and free open hardware, if you will. And
That's cool.
it's hard to find. Yeah, it's hard to find actual free hardware because most components are behind NDAs or they're proprietary. They cannot open it. It's like if we discuss a little bit, if we dissect a little bit the hardware wallet ecosystem, it's kind of self-deprecating. It's kind of it's not good because if you look at Ledger is not fully open source precisely because of what I was saying. There is some NDAs or some agreements that hinder Ledger from opening everything.
Hmm.
So they're not fully open source, which is concerning. If you look at Trezor is free open source software and it's great, but they don't have a secure element, a secure chip.
Hmm.
So if an attacker gets access to your Trezor within 15-20 minutes and using the right tools and getting and having the right notions, they can break in and they can get access to your funds. So both of them are pieces of junk.
Yeah.
Speaking for myself, of course.
Yeah.
If you look at Cold Card, the UI and the UX is just terrible. Who likes Cold Card? Maybe you do, but my point is, it's just
I'll stand up.
terrible.
I'll stand up for a cold card here, just a little bit, and here's why. Firstly, I agree with you. It is fucking horrible to use, and anyone who says that it isn't is wrong. The UX is horrible, but
Yeah.
you can, like, there are some features that I really like. Like, I like the fact that you can add entropy with the dice rolls when you're creating your seeds.
Hmm.
I think that's cool. I think the fact that you can export like child seeds to other things and have like one
Mm.
master seed, I think that's cool. There's a lot of features where I think that they are very much ahead of the game. And even on the Foundation
Yeah.
passport, like, I really like Zach. I've had him on the show. I've got one of the
Mm.
Foundation passports. It's fucking
Nice.
beautiful. I love the design. I love the UX. Like, if you put the two back to back, a cold card next to that, absolutely hands down, Foundation is nicer to look at, nicer feel, better UX,
Hmm.
but it doesn't have as many features yet. And I say, yeah, I'm sure that they're
Yeah.
going to put them in. But for example, like, I need to set my Foundation device up. If I want to go and
Hmm.
create a seed, I still have to create it on my cold card to export it because I can't add entropy. I would otherwise have to trust. So as
Mm,
much as we
mm.
can slag cold card off, I do think that it is. I do think it's important part of the tool chest for now.
Yeah, no, and there is one thing, credit where it's worth. I think, even though I bash on Rodolfo and Kolkar pretty heavily, um, I think one thing that we forget in the woods, or in this fighting is that Rodolfo and Koinkai and whatever, they work a lot on beeps. So there is more than one or a couple BEEP's Bitcoin proposal, whatever, improvement proposal. That's what BEEP stands for.
Mm-hmm.
That CoinKite and Rodolfo has worked on. And I think, if I recall correctly, the BEEP that actually allows for a master seed and the child seed, CoinKite was involved with that. I
Mm-hmm.
think it was BEEP 85 or something.
Yeah.
uh so they're pretty heavy in the ecosystem. They're involved with the mail list. Everything is great, but I think there is one thing kind of crossed the boundary with me, and I think that's when if I want to sound like a Karen, that's when I cancel CoinKite and Rodolfo. Is when SAC and Foundation announced that they were working with the Foundation Passport, and that they have forked the code from, kind of forked, not directly forked, from Coldcard, benefited from their work, and from Trezor. uh, Rodolfo's reaction was just not good, to say the least, because he pretty much made a conundrum, an entire show out of it. He started blocking people, and he started discouraging people from buying Foundation Passport because they were acting like leeches, like they were leeching off of his work over the years. And I'm like, Colcar was GPL v3, it was FOSS. How do you expect people not to copy your code if the very license states that they can?
Mm-hmm.
And when they do, then you react like that? No. And that was not enough, his emotional reaction, but he also flipped the coin, or flipped the switch, and changed the license. So Colcar is no longer free open source software, it's just source available. It changed from GPLv3 to MIT. So it's different now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what it used to be. No, you can no longer find everything publicly.
Do you think? Do
So
you think that was through concern, where he's looking at the design of this thing, looking at what they're putting together, and going, right, I need to step my game up here in terms of the design and everything else, and that it was like a competition thing?
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
uh,
I, I've had Rodolfo on here, and personally, as a person, I like him very much. I've got on very well with him. He's always been very respectful
nice.
with me. But when it comes to that, yeah, I agree. I think that this whole thing is, it's an open source movement. We're
Right.
all trying to work together to build the best products possible to push this thing forward and make, get Bitcoin into as many people's hands as possible, as safely as possible. And that kind of goes against the ethos for me. So
Correct.
so for that, I do find that disappointing. It doesn't mean that I like the cold card any less. I still use it. But I am
Yeah.
very excited to see what Zach and the team do going forward. And it is a fucking lovely design. I really, really like. How nice does it feel in your hand? It just feels like a real quality. It feels like
Yeah.
it's straight out the Apple Store or something like that. It's
Di-
it's
didn't
unreal.
didn't didn't you have some stupid problem with customs and the batteries, because people
Yes.
kept bitching about it?
Yeah, so I did have a problem with that. I didn't know it was specifically because of the batteries, but
Yeah.
I did get charged quite a lot at customs. But then saying that,
Damn.
Zach kindly sent it out for me for free. So I paid
Mm.
whatever it was, 65 pounds or something
Weird.
like that
Pounds.
to get it in. And so I was like, well, it's fucking annoying because I've had to pay the customs on it, but I would, I'd pay that all day long to have that device. So I wasn't too annoyed, but I wonder whether there's a way around it so other people don't get stung with that same problem.
Hey Max, but whenever we get to be grandparents or whatever, maybe you're already grandparent. I'm sorry, I'm just telling you you're a boomer, whatever. But whenever we get grandchildren, we can tell our grandchildren, hey, I got one of the first 1,000 Foundation Passport Founders Edition.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how bigly important I am just because I held that device.
And they'll
I
say,
was
fuck off, Grandad, I don't care.
yeah.
I'm all in on Ripple.
Yeah, and the fact that, do you notice that they number them? So in the back,
Ooh.
you actually know the number of the foundation password that you own.
No.
You just flip it. Yeah, on the back, on the bottom of the lid of that covers the batteries, you should have the number. I'm not going to say what number I own because I'm doxing
Having a look
myself.
now.
You should have it.
I've got 0021.
Wow, that's
No,
impossible.
not really.
I'm jelly now.
No, not really. I'm lying. I don't know. It's in another room, but I will check that out.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, just to throw back the topic because you interrupted me just to shield your
Sorry.
call card. She coined there. Don't worry. We already dissected call card. There is no more need for that. Then we have Foundation Passport, and as you say, it's novel. It lacks some features. I don't disagree with you on that, but I think we though that seed investment, whatever that they got of north of $2 million to get started with the work, I think it's relevant, and they've been hiring people, so I'm kind of bullish on whatever they have in store. I'm sure that they are going to blow our mind. I hope so, at least. And what else is out there? Well, there is the Beatbox O2, which is kind of, nobody talks about it. That's from Switzerland. I think that's one of the best hardware wallets. I'm kind of biased. I was one of the very first customers of them. I don't say these just because I say it, but actually the CEO has told me you were one of the very first customers of us. So I've been using it since 2016, and I love it because it's very simple. It's very straightforward. You're not doing anything nerdy like PSBT or child seats or parent seat or whatever. You're just plugging your Beatbox O2 and you're using your Beatbox app, and it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of the pleb hardware wallet. But when you inspect the components, you also get to learn that it has the secure element, that it's fully open source, that there is a native desktop app. Because one of the main reasons that I went all in with Beatbox from the get-go, with they used to be called digital Beatbox back in the day, was that it provided you with a native desktop app instead of being an add-on. Because back in the day, both Trezor and Ledger were like, you need to install this Chrome or Firefox add-on. And since the very beginning, I was like, I don't want to fucking handle my Bitcoin transactions with a browser add-on. This does not seem secure at all. So that's when I was sold with these Swiss people. You can plug it to your own node. You can work with your own node. It has coin control. It has at least the minimum features that I use in Bitcoin.
It's very slick as well. I got sent one.
You have one?
I got sent one about a week and a half ago. I haven't actually. I'm terrible. I haven't set up the passport properly, and I haven't set that up properly, and I haven't built my seed signer yet. So yeah, I'm a terrible bloke.
Max, you're not alone. I go to conferences and I buy all the gear and my gear sits there like for 1 year until I don't know, one night I'm very drunk and I just say, boom, I'm going to set it up tonight and I'll do it.
Ah,
But
you
I'm
do it
pretty
drunk
much the
as well.
same.
I also all my best Bitcoin tinkering is done drunk or high. Every single time. It's very rare that I can be sober and get anything done. Even if I sit all day and try, it will be fruitless. Nothing good will ever come of it. But if I'm drunk enough or high
Yeah.
enough, things tend to eventually work themselves out.
Yeah, so don't be hard on yourself. I'm pretty sure we're not the only ones. And actually, I tell this kind of joke to everybody. If law enforcement, if the agents would kick into my place, they will be startled because everything that they will find are hardware wallets. So I have the Spectre, I have the Passport, the Foundation Passport. I have like 5 or 6 different beatbox. Uh, I have a bunch of stickers, books. So there is nothing like, yeah, where is the drugs or the prostitutes or you know what I mean? There is nothing nefarious. They're going to find just something that they're like, what the fuck are you on about, kid? um, yeah, so yeah, it's life. So at some point we're going to set everything up and we're going to brag about it on social media, like I was this badass and I built this in great tool. But until then, when, well, we keep procrastinating, that's life. And and kind of closing thoughts here, to bring back the free open source software philosophy, there is one thing that I kind of keep hearing from Running Dojo people, S2L. That's one of the founders of Running Dojo, and a good friend of mine as well. Why, I don't need to hide that. They always say like the main narrative or the main purpose of free open source software is to allow for others to fork and make of your product or your software better, and that is the challenge is on you and not the person that, according to Rodolfo, is leeching off of your work. The main purpose of the free software is to allow to for everybody to come and fork and make it way better than you actually have done it, because it challenges you, so we all come together and we build better products. But without free open source software, then we don't get access to your code, and effectively we don't have anything to build upon. It's key that all these Bitcoin tools preserve free libre open source software, and that's something that it's admirable, at least in the Samurai Wallet ecosystem, that most tools, if not all, are fully free open source software, so anybody can do anything. I think I have to give a huge round of applause, of clapping, to Sparrow Wallet, Cray Raw, because recently it was spotted that he was working on integrating Whirlpool on a Sparrow Wallet, which will be huge, because that means that we can get an such a sophisticated, a great wallet, because Sparrow Wallet, I just used it for the first time like 1 or 2 weeks ago, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. But the groundbreaking news is that if Craig manages to it off correctly, we get a reliable and sweet desktop client to work around Whirlpool. And I think that's pretty novel and that's pretty amazing, because thus far what you do is you roll your CLI or your GUI, your graphical user interface, or your terminal on your laptop with your Whirlpool and your Samurai, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
With a Sparrow it will be way different, because you're actually seeing everything, and it's a native desktop app. I'm very excited, and I hope that Craig pulls it off. I'm very sure he's very smart, and I want to congratulate you and the 21 ism crowd, because I see you doing great work over there as well.
Thank you.
Um, even though they're total maxis and they hate on me. I know that they hate on me,
Do they?
a couple of them, but yeah, I don't know. We have some dirty past. I don't claim that I'm an angel because I'm very trolly. Um, but I love their work. I love their designs. I love their articles. And of course, since you're doing the pods, I of course I'm biased and I like you and your accent. And I'm always making fun with the other Macs that just made and speaking fast and saying cunt, and it's fun. I think I have a sweet spot for British people, and mainly because of Elmo and some other characters. You're just hilarious, and
Well, I keep
and it's
trying.
fun for me. It's great.
Thank you.
Go
Well,
ahead.
yeah, I mean, the 21ism stuff is great for me. I very much enjoy trying to shine light on because I tend to take code, sometimes design, and you know it means that I get to feature some of my favorite people. And Craig Raw is an absolute
Mm-hmm.
fucking legend, and obviously we featured Samurai on there as well. And it's nice for me because you know we try and shine light on the projects that I think are really important, and what Craig is doing is fucking awesome. And one annoying
Yeah.
thing for me is because I'm still running Spectre and I'm waiting for this Star Labs laptop that a few others that you'll
Mm-hmm.
know are also waiting for. It's fucking winding me up because I keep waiting and waiting and waiting. And my idea was, right, as soon as I get that laptop, then I'm going to run Sparrow on it. I'm going to do everything fresh. I'm going to have a completely fresh start. And then I've been not wanting to put it on my MacBook, so I'm yet to actually run it, but I've seen it in action, and just speaking to the guy, like he's a proper
Yeah.
Bitcoiner. Like the stuff, I'm sure great things are going to happen from him.
It's beautiful. The wallet is beautiful. I think I'm settled with mobile for mobile Samurai, of course,
Mm.
and for desktop Sparrow, and I'm all set. And
Mm-hmm.
whenever I feel like tinkering, then we got the foundation password or the Spectre,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just fun. I think at the end of the day, that's kind of my motto.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nerds. We're just a bunch of nerds. We're just doing nerdy stuff. We're just having fun. It's Bitcoin, and that's the end of it. There is no, I don't know, the S2F by Plan B that it's going to be $100 trillion. I don't care about the $100 trillion. Shovel that up your ass. Don't talk to me about that. We're just changing UTXOs. We're just having fun and hanging out. Um, yeah, that's that's how I look at it. And Monero, I look at it as just another tool, and the other fun stuff, because we get so busy and we get so distracted with talking about, I don't know, SegWit or native SegWit, wrap SegWit, hardware wallets, software wallets, KYC, no KYC, yada 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 yada. They if you didn't know, I can remind you and your listeners, there is way many other things that we can focus on that are still somewhat related. To give you an example, you can switch from using Windows or from using Mac OS to using GNU Linux, any distribution, and that's a rabbit hole in and of itself. And you're already using free open source software, uh, and you're not using anything related to cryptocurrencies, but you're still moving forward, saying goodbye to the big brother, saying goodbye to surveillance capitalism. You're empowering yourself while you're not using cryptocurrencies, but there is a lot of doors that you need to go through or you need to visit, that are also empowering you and the others that communicate with you. Or for instant messaging applications, today you can try Threema, tomorrow you try Signal, tomorrow you try Telegram, tomorrow you try Briar. You get what I mean. So
Mm-hmm.
you get to try some other tools and dive into these other organizations that I mentioned at the beginning of the pod, and you're just having fun and learning and kind of networking with like-minded individuals,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. because eventually everything is going to be interconnected, and everything is going to benefit you in the long run.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh,
Linux, especially, is the next rabbit hole for me. Uh, that is the one where I'm finally want to step away from my Apple stuff and start learning about it, because it does seem that everything with Linux seems like it's so beautifully aligned with Bitcoin, and I feel like a fraud
mm.
when I'm using my MacBook and everything else. I feel like and my iPhone and stuff, and it's step by step though, and like you say, it's just having a play around and doing it in a way that's fun. Because if you push and push and push
Correct.
and like if I said today, oh well, I haven't set up these hardware wallets and I haven't downloaded Sparrow and I haven't done all these things, and I try and sit for the next 2 weeks and do nothing else, I'm going to hate my life. If I can
Yeah.
do one in a couple of days after I've had some drinks, and then another one in a few days, and just enjoy it, I think that's the way forward. It's about having fun, like you said.
Yep. Yep. Totally agree. And we need to keep in mind that privacy is not binary. It's not black and white.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, I don't know, tomorrow I close all my accounts, I close my bank account, I don't know, break my lease, move to the Bermuda Triangle, everything is routed through Tor. I don't know, I change my identity, go through a surgery and change my face. Privacy is not like that. It's You're going to end burnt out, and you are going to spend a lot of money, and it's going to be stressful, not enjoyable.
Mm.
Uh, you do small changes, you take small steps over time, and then you make substantial progress, but across time. So instead of it being black and white, it's more like a scale of gray. So you go from being, I don't know, very light to being very dark, or however you want to look at the scale.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, you need to do it progressively, not from today to tomorrow, because it does not work like that. And in the end, if you actually want to be effective about it, you need to start being proactive uh, when you say no, like when you're talking to the cashier and they're going through the usual shilling of, oh, we're doing this credit card application, would you like to apply, or something like that, or we're giving you the rewards card. Always say no to those, because those are tracking fucking bastards, that they just implanted the bomb to follow you everywhere you go, and they actually know when and what and how you want to purchase things once you sign up for the rewards card or the
Mm.
credit cards that are store sponsored. It's just to follow you every purchase that you make at those chains.
Shall I
It's
get rid
just
of my
nefarious.
Poundland reward card then?
Yeah. New code your rewards card, or sign up for them using fake names and
Yeah,
fake addresses. I don't know. Do as you see fit.
yeah.
Use fake numbers too. There is tools for everything, man.
Mm.
That's what's so exciting and engaging for me. Anything that you think of that you can hide or whatever, you can go online and ask your friends in these communities, and they're always going to be like, yeah, I use this tool or I use that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty important. It's crucial, vital, that you actually go in and kind of leave your introversion. If you're introverted, you leave that behind the door, and you actually go ahead and ask the questions or hang out. Because tomorrow, whenever you have a doubt, or whenever you're in a pinch and somebody can help you, those are the people that can provide you with the answers to your questions, or that you can do a cahoots with, or that you can swap some coins with. If you don't build your communities, if you don't build a strong relationships precisely with these internet-based friends, you're going to be in an island. Who you're going to ask for help? Your mom, who says that Bitcoin is a scam?
Mm-hmm.
Or you're not going to have the like-minded individuals around you.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that I'm so grateful for, and one thing that's kept me doing this show, to be honest, is just getting to meet people and making friends and being able to reach out and ask these questions. And but you do not find this in normal life. Like you said, it's not just that my mum thinks I'm fucking crazy. It's that everyone thinks I'm crazy and no one gives a shit about any of this sort of stuff. And so to find a group where I can chime in and speak about this stuff is invaluable. And I really appreciate the times when you and everyone else has helped me and creating these Telegram groups to make it possible, and giving back, because it's a lot of you guys, you're very far down the rabbit hole, and you don't have to help people. You don't have to take your time. You could be moving on for yourself, but it is very much
Right.
appreciated.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the kind words. Just sheep past your way in and just hang out and find your niche and just strengthen it. That's the most important part. Just strengthening it, and just strengthening it by just day-to-day communication and being open. Like, I don't know, in the past year when I first joined the samurai community, it's been progressively like it has shifted from we're just hanging out here and just shit posting and throwing shit at everybody deliberately to uh I don't know, if I go through a minor procedure, medical procedure, I talk to the other Max and I'd be like, yeah, I'm getting my teeth pulled or whatever. So there is some trust that has been going on, and I do appreciate that. And as you say, yeah, it's 100%. I'm 100% on the same page. I lost all my normie friends. I don't know what a normie friend is. I only have my internet friends that I chat with through encrypted applications, and I usually trust them more than my neighbor next door, precisely because they're into the same things that I am.
Yeah.
So you need to build those communities and appreciate them, and yeah.
Definitely. Well, I've appreciated this call. It's been really good to
Yeah.
get to chat to you, mate. I really enjoyed it because
Absolutely.
we've been chatting for a while in the background, and as I say, I do appreciate what you've been doing. So, thanks for coming on, and thanks for sharing. And if you are ever in the UK or near me, you have to reach out and go for a drink or something.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the biggest to do list. Like, go to the UK and be like, Elmo, I'm here. Max, I'm here. The other Max, I'm here. Everybody, I'm here. Rabbit, for sure. And be like, yeah, let's hang out. I for sure will let you all know. Count on that. I'm
Awesome.
looking forward.
Cool. All right, mate.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolute.
Have a nice day.
Absolute pleasure. Speak soon.